How's it going, everyone? Welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be showing you the 4 mage marches that I like to run. If you're in a competitive alliance, your leaders are most likely going to ask you to run 1 tank. So that means that you won't be able to run the usual 5 mage march, which is this on the screen right here. So I'm going to show you what I run for my 4 mages. And yes, as you can see here, I do not use Burt Tohar. Burt Tohar does really well when you're focusing single targets such as tanks, but when you do a really good job at hitting groups of troops, especially when they're DPS, then your Thundelyn Lilia is going to be doing much better. And I'll go ahead and show you the builds that I have here. So I have showed you some of these builds in the past, but it's always nice to get a little update. So first of all, just with the artifacts, of course, you're going to want to run Infernal Flame on Lilia. You're going to want to run your Visage of Sanctus on Muathea. I choose to go for the Mirage Orb with my Thundelyn Lilia. You can go with the Thunder Elegy. Mine's only level 1, but it kind of follows the same reasoning that people like to go with Phoenix Eye over Thunder Elegy, and that is that the attack stats that these attack artifacts give are just really good. If I did have a max level Thunder Elegy, however, I probably would use this because I do think that the crowd control effect of this artifact is insanely good, and if I were to just get like a random exemplar pull of this, I would definitely be running it. But for now, we're just going to be running the Mirage Orb, and then I am currently using the Exemplar Phoenix Eye on Magrat Zeta, and that has actually been working really well. If I did have an Exemplar Tear of Arbon, I would use that instead. But we're using this for now, and it's been working absolutely great. Now, as far as pets, I'll go ahead and show you here. Now, my setup is a little weird when it comes to running 4 mages. If I was running 5 mages, I would want to run 3 sapphires and 2 sand lizards. But when you drop down to 4, it puts you in a bit of an awkward position. However, since I only have 2 sapphires anyways, I'm running 2 sapphires and 2 sand lizards. So this is the first sapphire that I'm using here. You can tell this one is for Lilia and Velen because I have the Intense Pain Bloom. The skill only works on heroes that inflict Scorch, Hoarfrost, or Ensnare. So that's a really good one that I have here. 3-star, really great attributes, and the 3 tense spirits. With my Muathea, I run this one here. This one doesn't have the Intense Pain Bloom, so it has additional damage skills such as Magic Fortune and Resonance. Once again, great stats. Unfortunately, these are only 6 slots, but the damage that they can deal is still really insane. I would run a very similar pet just like this on my Thunderlyn Lilia if I had one. But currently, I've got this Sand Lizard here. So once again, all of my main mage pets are 3 stars, and I've managed to roll some really good stats on these here. I'm going with the Outburst of Rage to get a little bit more rage generation. When I show you the talents, you'll see that I'm able to get quite a lot of rage consistently, which is really good on a lot of your mages. And then these top 4 skills here, pretty much the core skills on any Sand Lizard. And I have this heart wall here in case I decide to run a Sand Lizard with my Thea March. Next, we got my second Sand Lizard. This one's actually 8 slots. I haven't really decided what to put on these last 2 here. I don't know why I've just left it sitting like this, but most likely I'm going to include add Shield Breaker, which gives defense penetration, but I'm not sure on the last one. And then for my 5th march, I've got 2 infantry marches that I like to run, Kuma and Magro. This is a super fun march that inflicts some crazy debuffs. I had a lot of fun using this last season. And the second one is going to be Gorish and Skogul. This is just absolutely amazing march. And then this is the current Venomous Lizard that I am running with those. I do have 2 other lizards that I've been working on. So this is the most recent one that I got to 2 stars. And then this is the other one that I need to level up the skills for as well. One march that I am very curious to try is going to be Gorish with Kuma. I think this could be a really powerful march as well. The thing with Skogul is you need to be in a crowd of people in order to be dealing the AoE counterattack. But if you just have your march intercepting tanks and just kind of holding in the front, then potentially using Kuma might be better. So that's it for the pets and artifacts. Let's go into the talent pages. So let's go ahead and start with Lilia here. So this is the page that I like to go with. So I like to go with builds that prioritize rage, A mage main in my previous alliance named the Monks showed me how to calculate rage in my builds, and I think that rage is definitely the better way to go over increased damage, especially when you have really good pets. So that's why I go with the Spirit of Rage here over Boiling Blood, and then I go with Caged Animal here because I'm able to stay in combat for a really long time. If you find yourself exiting combat pretty often, then you'll probably be better off with Thirst for Blood. Over here on this left side, you already have movement speed because you're pairing her with Velen, so you don't need to go with magic speed. I go with Foresight, and then when it comes to these two skills, you can go with either one. I just figured since I'm running double AoE heroes, this would be a good one to try out, and it's been working pretty well for me, I'd say. And then lastly, this last point, I have it here under Orb of Protection. This is just in case I decide to run Lilia, that I don't have to be switching my talent trees all the time. And so if you know for sure you're going to be using it with Velen and you don't need this point here, and you can put the last point into Steady Hands over here. So that is the build right there. So for the next one, it's going to be Muathea. Now I've shown this build plenty of times. Let's go ahead and take a look here. So one of the things that's different from a lot of other players that I see is I like to go with Punisher over Flock of Blessings. I think that the extra damage that you deal is way more impactful. You already have so much healing and survivability. I really don't think that this is necessary. And then we go into the PvP tree. I go for this normal attack damage boost. Thea and Mu have so many modifiers to their stats. Like you have so much attack, just raw damage. And then not just from Mu alone, but also from Thea. Thea gives you like a 50% attack boost or something crazy like that. And so that's going to boost your normal attack damage as well. And so that's why I like to go with that over defense. Once again, this March is already so tanky. It lives for so long. I think that going for more damage is the best bet. And like I mentioned earlier, going for Rage. That's why I go for Head Held High here, go for the Rage here, and then Pick Me Up here. Some of you might be wondering, do these Head Held Highs stack? And the answer to that is that yes, they do. And then lastly, we go for the Army of Valor here. You're going to be in combat for a really long time, so a 3% damage increase is really, really good. All right, moving on, let's go to Thundelyn. So with Thundelyn, I like to run the triple Rage build. So this is what we've got here. So most important things here is definitely going to be the Rage. So 75 Rage from Foresight here. And then we've got the 2 Held Highs over here. Now I don't go with Soul Siphon on the right here because as a Mage player, you should rarely ever be attacked. And so I think that it's better to go with the Cyclone Seal. Now some people say what's the point of running Cyclone Seal? Your Rage skill is always going to be active and inflicting slow. Well, my reasoning is when I switch targets and hit something with my Lilia, now my Lilia's Rage skill will also slow that other target. So that's why I go with that. And then same reasoning as before, I went with Energy Boost. I don't know exactly how this skill works with Thunderlyn's Rage skill, but there are technically like 3 casts. So I think that Energy Boost might have a higher opportunity of triggering on at least one of those casts. I think it could probably only trigger on one of the casts, but because there are 3 of them, you're more likely to get it that one time. That's how I kind of see it. And then I do have Orb of Protection on here once again, because I do like to run Thundelyn with Thea sometimes. I'm always trying new things, and so I figured it's just 1 point. I'll leave it here. If I had to put it anywhere else, then I would probably put it under Fury Flame over here. All right, and then the last of our Mage marches, we're going to go over to Magrat Zeta. So let's take a look at her here. So with Magrat Zeta, this is what I'm running here. So basically prioritizing move speed. So going with these 6 points here, going with the 10 here, and the other 10% here. That puts us at 26% movement speed, which puts us in sync with our other marches. When following this build here, there's a decision that you have to make. You're either going to put more points into dedication here, which gives you more sustain, or you're going to put more points into Adrenaline Rush. I decided that I would rather have additional sustain over the 2.4% normal attack damage. Normal attack damage might be more valuable to you, but this is what I have been running, and it's been working really well for me. All right, everyone, if you made it this far into the video, I'm going to show you an additional march that I think is really, really good, and I might make a video on it soon, but that's going to involve Thundelyn here. And we are going to swap the Lilia out for Terra. Yes, you heard it right, Terra. This March does surprisingly really well. I played around with it last season in our actual KVK and a couple of Abyss matches, and I'll put the reports here on the screen for you to see. As you can see, it's keeping up with the other marches, and it's even doing better than Bert Tohar. As I mentioned earlier, if you have Bert Tohar in your lineup, he's going to do really well if you're just focusing on single targets. You know, you're hitting those tanks from the back. But if you get up close and you're able to DPS groups of enemies, your AoE heroes are really going to shine. And Thundelyn Terra does really well. Not only do they get pretty good merits on their own, but the stat boost that they give to all of your other marches is super good. And one other bonus tip that I didn't mention earlier is when you're running Sand Lizards, your mages do even better when you're just running 4 legions. And the reason for that is that the Sand Lizard actually only heals 4 of your nearby legions. So when you're running 5 mage marches, not everyone is benefiting from the heal, but when you're running 4, all 4 of your marches are always getting healed, and they're also going to be getting all of the buffs from the Visage of Sanctus and also from Terra. So that's going to be the video. If you liked it, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and you can always message me in game as well. I'll see you in the next one.